That's funny. That's funny. Most chicks would be like, "You were quiet. You were up to no good." You're like, "You were quiet. Are you coding live?" All right. So you can see it. Yes. Check. One, two. All right. Let's let's start this. Man, I was trying to do the thing where you like I downloaded some piece of shit plugin for OBS that will it's like a now playing plugin. So I go through all this hullabaloo to sign in with Spotify, getting like creating like the creating an API endpoint for myself and getting authentication tokens and all this bullshit, and then it's like in the end it's just some a shitty ass plugin, man. So I'm just gonna close this because Spotify only lets you have one endpoint on the free plan. I'm definitely gonna mess with that later. So um, okay. Okay, so non-dark mode alert. Like I found dark mode stuff for this man for PDFs, but they look like garbage. Actually, something is really really missing. Something is not. Something isn't. I know. Wait. I know what's going on. Something is very wrong, and I know what it is. One sec. All right. All right. So something was very, very wrong, but I figured it out. All right. How are you gonna be a one? How are you gonna be a wannabe coder without? I'm only down to like 3 a day these days, so that's pretty good. It's progress. All right, man. I'm always tinkering with shit. Honestly, it's like, where are we gonna go? Let me throw on some. I know you can't hear it, cause God fucking forbid we share music. There we go. There. I'll just do the riffs for you. All right. So we're doing while loops. Man, these were kicking my ass earlier. So far, we only work with one piece of user info at a time. Yeah, like that wasn't messed up enough. You know what? Just for a warm up, let me go and redo. Let me redo stuff. So we're gonna go here. I'm gonna go to this sandbox. Get rid of all this. All right, real quick. While loops. A while loop is gonna run as long as some condition here is true, and then it's gonna do stuff. Right now, this sounds simple on the surface, right? So if a condition is true, I can just use a boolean true, right? And as long as the boolean is true, I can say, print high. This is going to create an infinite loop because this will always be true. So Python is going to see while. Okay, there's a while loop, right? Python's like, what's the condition? The condition is that it is true. Well, it is true, right? There's no test here. It's just straight true. Therefore, the loop will run. Python enters the loop, says print high. Then it goes again. Okay, is the condition still true? Obviously, it's always freaking true, yes? So it's just going to keep printing high. So if we do this, boom, wait for it. The high, 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 high. Okay, so so the way to one way to prevent this is to have a counter. So for example, if I say, I is 0, right? And then I say condition while I is less than or equal to, let's say y is less than 5, right? And then I print I, and then I need to increment it every time. So then I'm going to add 1 to I. So the first time I is 0, we're going to print 0, right? Then we're going to take I, add 1 to it. Now I equals 1. 1, still less than 5, we print 1. And so on until we print 4. And finally, after that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth iteration, when I add 1 to I is now 5. So we check the condition again. I is not less than 5, and the loop will exit. So if I do that, we're going to get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is a pretty simple idea, but but, bro. I said but, bro. um, oh, shit. Hold on. Okay, okay, okay. I thought never mind. Okay. So if we have this here, write a loop that prompts the user to enter a series of pizza toppings until they enter a quit value. And as they enter each topping, tell them what they're going to have on the pizza. So your instinct would be to say, uh, take topping and what topping do you want or whatever, like, enter topping, right? So if I run this, right, remember this input, even though I didn't print the variable topping, this input is like a function that includes a print in it. So it's going to run the topping. I can put whatever I want, X, Y, Z, and we're done. So now topping stands for XIZ, right? If I do print topping, again, it's going to ask me for the input. So if I do XYZ, you'll see that it's holding XYZ. Now, we want to ask the user for a series of pizza toppings, unless they say quit. So, what would the condition here be for us to say, what other topping do you want? And this is where it gets tricky, right? So we could say while topping does not equal done, right? Then we're going to print topping, right? Like what we keep asking, what topping do you want? Now this is going to create an infinite loop, I think, right? So enter topping, say pepperoni, right? And then we're just going to get pepperoni forever because it will always be true that the topping is not done. So it keeps printing topping. So we need to prompt the user for an input again. So since topping here, line 8 equals, let's say, pepperoni, right? We need to prompt one more time. And I believe if I just straight did input, so pepperoni, right? Okay, pepperoni, enter topping, mushrooms. Why would you put mushrooms in that thing? Now it says pepperoni again because I didn't save this, right? So now the topping will change to whatever we put in the second time. So let's say pepperoni, right? Okay, pepperoni. and we got mushrooms. Okay, mushrooms. And if I say done, we have exited the loop. All right. So this is a little fucked up. All right, it is. If it's the first time you see it and you're trying to get your head around it. So let's run it down real quick. I have an input, enter topping. This function input, it's like what it does. What's packaged inside this function is print whatever the input argument is, in this case, enter topping, wait for user response, take user response, and assuming that we are capturing it somewhere, in this case, it will be save it to topping because it gives us back whatever the user is going to tell us, right? But it doesn't create anything. So we save it to this variable. So when we first run this, right, the interpreter sees topping. Okay, topping holds something. What does it hold? Input function. Okay, what is it? Enter topping. Great. So it shows us enter topping and it waits. We input pepperoni. Now, topping equals pepperoni. The interpreter goes to line 7. There's a while loop. What is the condition for me running this while loop? Topping is not equal to done. The interpreter says the topping is indeed not equal to done. The topping is freaking pepperoni. So I will enter the loop and it prints topping, which is what? Pepperoni. Great. Then it goes to the second line of the loop here, line 9. Because at this point, we need to get the next topping. Otherwise, it will keep doing what? It will keep printing topping forever. Like if this wasn't here, it's like, okay, input has run, enter topping, right? We say like pineapple, as idiotic as that sounds, right? And it just keeps going forever because it says, okay, so topping is not done, topping is pineapple, so print pineapple. Now, let's go back to line 7. Is this condition still true? Yes, the topping is still not equal to done, so let's print pineapple, and it does that forever. So we need to ask the user again, so which we do at line 9. We take topping, this variable again, and again, we hit him with the input. So he keeps doing that. Now, if the input is done, the interpreter goes to line 7 and he sees topping. Is topping not equal to done? No, that is false. Topping is equal to done, so we exit the loop. Now, you might say, okay, yeah, I got it, but there's different ways to do this. And like, I don't know, man. I went back and forth with ChatGPT, like, which one's the best? I don't know. It depends, right? I mean, I guess you learn this stuff when you're working with teams and experience, but the point is this is one way to do it. Now, what's the problem with this? The problem is that I'm duplicating this code, right? Line 5 and line 9 is the same thing, which is very clear, but it's not economical. So that's one way to do it. There's another way to do it, though. So I'm going to comment all this out. So what we can do is instead of so I can start with topping, right? And it's going to be an empty string. Okay? There's nothing in there. So I would say, well, topping is not equal to done once more. Topping equals what? It equals all this input and then I print the topping. I think, let me see what I did. This was the first one we did, right? Method 3. We start with the empty string, right? This is messed up. So then we put an if statement in here, right? So if topping does equal done, well, okay, I was doing some other stuff with this, right? Topping, input, enter topping. Right, pepperoni, whatever. Enter topping is just going to keep saying that, and then like nothing happens, right? So print the topping. So if I say whatever, blah, 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 we get, well, if I say X, we say Y, we get that back, right? If I say done, the loop is exited, right? And this in its simplest form also works. Now, two things about this. First off, why use an open string? Like, what's the difference between this and this? Well, the open string, in this case, like it's not a counter, like if we were looping through a dictionary, right? Where like we say I equals 0 or something. The open string is just like a placeholder for the first iteration in order for the loop to run. Because if I didn't have this here and the interpreter sees while topping, blah, blah, you see there's a red line in it because it's an undefined variable. So if I run this, right, it's going to say name top and is not defined. So, right? So it's a way for us to enter the loop, right? That first iteration. And then once we are in the loop, then topping is going to be set equal to whatever the user inputs, and we're going to print that back to him. I guess the advantage of this is that we don't have to do this where we duplicate this line. All right. Now, the clunky thing about this is that if I say like topping XYZ, and then I say done, right? We exit the loop as we would want, but we also get done. But let's say we wanted to just exit the loop without saying done. How would we do that? So we print the topping, but before we print it, we check if it is done. Right? I think. So we can say if topping, and let's see what we did here. If topping does equal done, we print topping and then break, which means that we exit this loop. So we set pepperoni, right? And then I say done. Actually, no, we want this here. Yeah, okay, so the first time we say pepperoni, it keeps asking for toppings, right? Mushroom, and if I say done, it still gives me the done. How do we fix this? So if we trace the order, right, Python says topping is done, and then it immediately executes. If topping is not done, user type's done. The interpreter sees topping now equals done. then it prints done, and after that, it sees this. So the question is, should this happen before or after? So this should happen after. Yeah, pepperoni, blah, blah. And if I say done, okay, yeah, makes sense. Then we exit. So if I say done, this condition becomes false. Let me see, if I say done, the condition is false. Why do we even need the print statement? Well, in the first iteration, the topic is not is true. We enter the loop. So the user types done, right? Topic now equals done. We print the topic, which prints done. Then break and the loop exits. The line was checked before the user typed. Oh, right. The value didn't become done until inside the loop. That's why the loop body runs once. Um, this is a little redundant, right? We're printing before deciding whether the input should be processed. See, man, these are tricky. Get input, print topping, check if it's done. Right now we're getting input, printing, checking for done. That's why done gets printed. So we say while topping, so you know what? We could just say true here, right? That's it. So condition is true. Well, I mean, I know we can do that, but I want to do the one where we use like an empty string to initialize, right? So we want, yeah, I want this pattern with the string. So the fix will be while topping is not equal to done. The topping input is going to be the topping, and if the print topping. Which is still pretty ugly. Yeah. Okay. Brightness alert. I'm just going to move on for now. Come back to this later. So far we've worked with only one piece of user information at a time. We got the input, printed the input or response to the input. Next time, through the while loop, we'd receive another input value and respond to that. Yes, beautiful. All right. We got a list of unverified users of a website. We got unconfirmed users in a list. Confirmed users is empty. I don't want to just read this. I'm going to try to rebuild it or half rebuild it while I'm looking at it. So let's say we got unconfirmed users of a website, right? Alice, Brian, John, whatever. And then I have confirmed users, which is empty. So we're going to verify each user until there are no more unconfirmed users. And then we're going to move each verified user into this list over here. So we would say while now, while unconfirmed users. And this basically evaluates to true. The question is, does this evaluate to true because the list exists? Yeah. An empty list is considered false and a non-empty list is considered true. Okay. So, oh, I see. So specifically, this is like saying the length of unconfirmed users is greater than 0. Or is, okay. In a condition, Python treats empty collections as false and non-empty collections as true. Okay, cool. So yeah. So while unconfirmed users, we're going to we're gonna to confirmed users, we're going to append um, each individual user from here. But every time that I go through this, right, I'm going to say current user is what the book is doing here, right? And it's saying that unconfirmed users right? And then it does the pop function. Now, I don't remember. I forgot. Is pop destructive? Yes. Pop removes an item from the list and it returns it. All right. So on the first iteration, right, this list is not empty. This is true. So it's going to go to the last item here, John. It's going to remove it or return it. We save it in current user. And then we go to confirmed users and we add that current user. It's pretty straightforward. And if and then afterward, once we're done, if we print this, right? There we go. So these users have been verified and they have been saved to the confirmed users list, which is what we see here. All right, brightness alert. So in the book, it's a little more fleshed out, right? So we got verifying the user, and it's gonna verify each individual user being verified. It's gonna add them, and then it's gonna say the following users have been confirmed, and then it individually prints each confirmed user. All right. Removing all instances of specific values from a list. The remove function worked because the value we were interested in appeared only once in the list. But what if you want to remove all instances of a value? So you got a list of pets with the value cat repeated. To remove all instances of that value, because who the hell would want a bunch of cats around? You can run a while loop until cat is no longer in the list, as shown here. So while cat and pets, pets remove cat. All right. Now, remove is also destructive, right? So if I do remove Alice, right? Now this should give me, let's think, this should give me none. Yeah. Because the remove method doesn't create anything, but it's acting on a mutable object, so it's going to remove Alice. So if I print the list now, we should see Brian John. Right? Okay. So if I have a bunch of pets, I don't want these nasty cats here. Dog, cat, dog. Let's do some cute ones like snake, rabbit. Rabbit's all right. I had a rabbit once. Well, a little bunny. Yeah. So um, so I had a little bunny once. There's a story there. This bunny was, maybe I save it for another time. But there is a bunny story. Anyway. All right. Why bunny? Anyway, so, oh, and also let's add a turtle because turtles are cute. They just sit there like, bro, I don't care. Not even gonna run from you. I'm a turtle. Couldn't care less. Anyway, so we want to remove the nasty ass cats. Never trust a cat. Um, so we're gonna move the cat. Uh, but if I print pets now, right? Remove the cat. See, it removed the first cat that it saw, right? These two are still here. So we're gonna say what? I don't know. What what did the book say? Uh, oh yeah, right. Makes sense. So while cat is in pets, right? Remove it. Ta. And then if we print that, boom. No nasty, freaky ass cats. Okay. Here, okay, let's explain what we did. Filling a dictionary with user input. Let me see something. We're going to get to exercises 7, 8, 9, 10 here, and then we'll be done. So filling a dictionary with user input. You can prompt for as much input as you need in each pass through a while loop. Let's make a polling program where each pass through the loop prompts for the participant's name and response. We'll store the data we gather in a dictionary because we want to connect each response with a particular user. So we got an empty dictionary, right? We're going to use a flag. So it's just a variable that's going to be set to true. So in this case, it's polling active. And then while the polling is active, we're going to prompt for the person's name and response. We say name, what's your name? Response, which mountain would you like to climb today? It's Mount Everest. Then we're going to store the response in the dictionary. So responses, right? Name, that's the key. The value saved, whatever the response was. And then find out if anyone else is going to take the poll. So now it says repeat, and there's another input. Would you like to let another person respond, yes or no? If the repeat is no, then the polling switches to false. And the loop just exits. And if it's complete, we loop through the responses. Okay. So it's like, okay, we got responses, right? For the poll. And all right. So we're going to have a flag, right? Poll and active. That's going to be true. We're going to use this to know when to exit, right? So while poll and active is true, which that's what we set it to, right? We want to ask them for their name and we want to ask them for their response. So name, right, will be input, right? And let's do a new line character. So, what's your name, right? And response, right? In this case, it's input. Now I'm going to change the bands. What's your favorite band? No, wait, what's your name? And then we're going to say, what's your favorite band? Then we need to take the responses and put them here inside the bands, right? So inside bands, this should be called band, right? What's your favorite band? Name and response. No, sorry, we got name and then responses, which is a favorite band. So inside bands, for the name, we're going to save their favorite band. Let's make this singular. We're saving that as a response. And then, do you want to add another band, right? So we say input. Do you want to add another band? And then we can say yes or no. Right? And if repeat is no, then we change the flag to false. And if we print bands now, let's see. What's your favorite band? I don't know, Dog Throne. What's your favorite band? Fintroll. Wait a minute, let me run this again. What's your favorite band? Say Dog Throne, right? I messed this up. What's your name, right? This should be what's your name. All right. So, what's your name? Seb. What's your favorite band? I say Bethlehem, right? Do you want to add another band? If I say yes, ask me. Oh, that's ugly though. Oh, would you like to let another person respond? Tricky. Yeah, okay. It's not do you want to add another band because then it's the same person. Yeah, that's what happens when I'm messing with the example. Fine. For the purposes of the example, we say, would you like to let another person respond? Okay. So, what's your name? All right. Seb. Favorite band? Dog Throne. Would you like to let another person respond? Yes. What's your name? Joe. Favorite band? I say Satyricon, whatever. Would you like to let another person respond? Yes. What's your name? Jack. Favorite band? Fintroll. And then if we say no, we have exited, and this is the value of the dictionary. Right? Of course, if we want to make it look nicer, right? Now that we know what this holds, right? We're going to say for name, band, in bands, and we're going to do title. So we extract the key value pair. We're going to print to a string literal, right? So we're going to say name's favorite band is band. Okay, so if we say, and you know what? Let me, real quick here, let's just do title. So it takes the first letter, right? Capitalizes it. Yeah. So I'm going to say, what's your name? You know what? Let's start again. So, what's your name? Do a lowercase Seb, say Darkthrone, right? Let yes, another person will respond. Let's say Ryan, favorite band, I don't know, Blind Guardian. Would you like to? Yes, right? What's your name? Let's say Jack, favorite band, Sabaton. Why not? And then no. So, for name, dict object has no title because that's titles. Items. It's not even titles, man. Okay, let's do this real quick. Darkthrone. Say yes. Joe, Sabaton. Say yes. Tobias. Let's say Iceweeden. And then we say no. All right, so there. Seb's favorite band is Darkthrone. Joe's favorite band is Sabaton. Tobias' favorite band is Iceweeden. All right, cool. So let's do these exercises. The first one here is exercise. How you doing? How you doing? So where's the... Okay. So I got 7, 8. It's called Delhi. All right. So here's our exercise. Make a list called sandwich orders and fill it with the names of various sandwiches. Okay. Then make an empty list called finished sandwiches. Loop through the list of sandwich orders and print a message for each order, such as, I made your stupid tuna sandwich. And as each sandwich is made, move it to the list of finished sandwiches. After all the sandwiches have been made, print a message listing each sandwich that was made. So, let's leave this alone for now. Okay? That's going to be like a second half. So we have a list called sandwich orders, right? And we fill it with the list of let's get some sandwich names. I don't know, give me the names of 3 popular sandwiches. I'm not going to sit here thinking of sandwich names. So we got a BLT, right? Club sandwich, okay, yeah. What else? Reuben? I don't even know what the hell that is. I don't care. It's just bread with crap stuck in between it. What's so special about it? All right, some serious Walungu shit. Oh, there's bread with stuff in it. We're really into this. There's 1,000,001 variations. Okay. Make an empty list called finished sandwiches. Yes, sir, I'm going to do that. Um, Loop through the list of sandwich orders here and print a message for each order saying, I made your sandwich. And as it's made, move it to the list of finished sandwiches. That's easy. For sandwich, let's say for order, print I made your for sandwiches, sandwich orders, I made your sandwich, right? If I run this now, I made your BLT sandwich, this, that, and the other, right? Now I'm just gonna okay. I made your BLT sandwich and all this stuff, right? Great. And then it says, as it's made, move it to the list of finished sandwiches. So we're gonna take, right, the sandwich and we're gonna append. Right? So look now, if we print finished sandwiches, right, we have them in there. After all of them have been made, print a message listing each sandwich that was made. So then what a weird word. Sandwich. What does that even mean? Okay. Right, we say completed orders. There. Let's do a quick thing. Okay. I made your BLT sandwich, I made your blah blah. Completed orders, BLT Club Royven, yes? Great. Done. Okay. Okay. What the hell else? Next one. So the next one, using the list sandwich orders from exercise 7-8, which is here. Make sure the sandwich pastrami appears in the list at least 3 times. Add code near the beginning of your program to print a message saying the deli has run out of pastrami. What? Okay. I'm just going to generate a better list. Okay, so there are sandwich orders: tuna pastrami, ham and cheese pastrami, turkey roast beef pastrami, veggie. Boom, one, two, three. All right. Add code near the beginning of your program to print a message saying the deli has. Okay. Sorry, we're out of pastrami. Right? There it is. Sorry, we're out of pastrami. Then we're going to remove all occurrences of this. Oh, yeah. So, while sandwich orders, right? Sandwich orders, remove pastrami. No. While pastrami in sandwich orders, remove le pastrami. Make sure no pastrami sandwiches end up in. Okay, so we'll say, yeah, we'll say currently available sandwiches. Okay, and then we're going to say for a sandwich. Oh, damn, wait. Uh-huh. We also need to add, so if it's not pastrami, it needs to go in here. So damn, how did we do that? So wait, what did I have? So at this point, sandwich orders no longer has the stupid pastrami. So then, suppose after removing pastrami, we have this. Yeah. So at this point, this thing has no more pastrami. And if we print sandwich orders, right, you see that there's no pastrami. So now we're going to take these and we're going to do finished append sandwich. And now if I print finished sandwiches, there it is. Okay, great. And then it said what? Add code needed to print a message uh, to remove. Okay. And then we'll do currently available sandwiches, right? We'll say for sandwich, finish sandwiches. There it is. Oops, sorry. Sorry, we're out of pastrami. Currently available sandwiches are Tuna ham and cheese turkey. Now, what this exercise, if you're looking at the output, right, it kind of hides a lot of what happened behind the scenes here because the point is we had this list of sandwiches, right? Never mind the print thing. So we then initialized an empty list of finished sandwiches, and we said, while pastrami is in these orders, right, we're going to remove the darn thing, right? And removes the destructive method, right? So sandwich orders was permanently modified to not include pastrami. So after this loop was done, this thing no longer includes pastrami. We then loop through this thing and we take the finished sandwiches and we add them to our finished sandwiches list, which was here. And then we say, here's what's available. And then we're looping through the finished sandwiches list, which is here. Of course, we didn't really have to sit here and create a whole list called finished sandwiches and move them in there. We could have just removed these things and then printed what's left. But this is the point of the exercise. Okay, there's one more exercise tomorrow, and we will get to that then. So for now, let's note the progress. 165. Wow, we finished 3 pages of Python Craft.